Attorney General Holder now has a plan to end racial profiling, despite a record of failing to enforce a number of laws. Joining us now, two of the best attorneys in the business, Lise Wheel and Mercedes Colwin, both Fox News legal analysts. Great to have you with us. Let's start with the pronouncement by Eric Holder that he's going to end racial profiling. What was that all about?
There's no need for it because President Bush, way back in 2003, passed federal laws on this after 9/11, saying, no racial profiling. There are some minor exceptions, some carve-outs for counterterrorism, that kind of thing, where you could use race as one of the many factors. So it's already on the books, and mostly every state in the union has one of these laws.
But to make a blanket statement like that, meaning that the entire country has a racial bias, is so irresponsible. You have such a responsibility to the public at large, and you make these types of comments?
Guys, local law enforcement, state law enforcement, county, what must these people be feeling as they listen to the President of the United States speak as if there's some sort of brutish, insensitive, uncaring
if they're police officers out there going and putting their lives at danger every day, what they're thinking is, are you Attorney General Holder saying that I am a racist? I mean, just blanket that I'm a racist?
Do you think anybody, now this is the next question, because this is the man who began his tenure as Attorney General by saying essentially we're a nation of cowards when it comes to race. Do you think anybody gives a damn anymore what the Attorney General says?
He's on his way out.
It's on his way out. No. They honestly
let's be
don't.
honest.
Right.
But to your point, though, I think what Lisa's saying is certainly true. You're a cop out in the line, putting their lives at risk, and now you're saying somehow I have racial animus and I'm going to violate the laws and not protect society?
How is
that?
It's just a presumption, in fact, right.
And the amnesty, the de facto amnesty that this president has created by fiat. He is ruling by fiat. This president has moved what was once, as Richard Neustadt famously put it, an imperial presidency. It is now an authoritarian office that he has created that is subjugating, subordinating the Congress of the United States. We don't know yet. He may be indifferent to the judiciary as well.
How many times did we hear President Obama say, I can't change the immigration laws?
20
I can't
times,
change
by the way.
immigration laws. I can't change immigration
20
laws.
20 times.
20 times. But somehow, now, I've changed immigration laws. I'm not satisfied with the laws as they are.
And by the way, without explanation.
Right. Without
explanation as to why a hard left after a midterm election that absolutely was a repudiation of his policy.
Because he can. I mean, that's what he's thinking. Because I can.
Yeah.
And I'm out of here in 2 years.
Because
so the executive order allows me to do that.
The only way you can is to have no regard whatsoever for the traditions, the conventions, the intent of the framers, nor the paper and the words written upon it called the Constitution.
Or the Constitution.
I love the fact that he relies on a memo internally from the Department of Justice, the executive order and prosecutorial discretion and all that. But in that same memo, they say, well, this right is not unlimited.
It's not unlimited. In fact, the Justice Department was saying that he shouldn't have carried out the deferred action.
Exactly right.
I mean, it's breathtaking. Let's turn to, if we may, the idea that somehow there is an absolute rejection of the grand jury in Ferguson, Missouri.
Right.
This president is indifferent to what a grand jury found.
Right.
There is no respect or regard in the national media, for that matter, in much of the national media, for the physical evidence.
The physical evidence,
right. And the witness testimony from individuals of color who supported Officer
Wilson. Yeah, but you know why I resist that? If we have to make a judgment based on color of skin as to whether or not someone is a, what is the word?
Telling the truth or not?
Telling the truth?
A probative witness. I mean, this is really, we're going in the wrong direction. This was the president who said, led us all to believe that it was going to be a post-racial society. My God, he has put the nerve endings on fire.
Well, let's face it, the witnesses in that case were all over the place. Those eyewitnesses. We know eyewitness testimony is often fallible.
Nothing unusual about that.
Nothing unusual. That has nothing to do with race. It may have had something to do with race here, but it generally does not. Forensic evidence, though, is forensic evidence. There were
Physical
three autopsy reports done. One by Dr. Michael Bodden, hired by the family, by the Brown family, finding that it was consistent with his running towards the officer, not away, self-defense.
And the idea, too, that right now, the American people are listening to a president who's going to rule by fiat. We've talked about amnesty. We're talking about all that this administration is doing. There is nothing, says John Boehner, that the Congress can do. The Congress and the Senate, run by Republicans, when are we going to see checks and balances instituted? And if we have to say in January of 2017, we're in real big trouble.
Undoubtedly. And there's nothing we can do. I mean, we've got 2 years of this. I mean, the voters can't step in at this point. It's already, the die is cast. They can make a change in 2016. But up until then, it's going to be problematic.
I agree.
Unfortunately. Thank you very much, Lise. Lise Wheel.
Great to be
Mercedes
on.
Cola. Great to have you both
Thanks,
here.
Liz.
Thanks so much. Now the wrap-up. The Obama administration put its traveling political troupe on a lofty stage last night. The Attorney General going to Atlanta, going to the Ebenezer Baptist Church, from which Dr. Martin Luther King preached and led the civil rights movement. At Ebenezer Baptist, Eric Holder's climactic wrap-up to that speech last night on Ferguson led him to declare that he would end racial profiling forever. But he apparently forgot. President George W. Bush had already done that. He did it in 2001, declaring that racial profiling was wrong. The president, more than a decade ago, ordered the prohibition of racial profiling altogether by federal law enforcement. How nice it would have been for the Attorney General to acknowledge all of the shoulders upon which he was standing as he took the stage last night. Perhaps grace that wouldn't suit the Obama White House brand of political theater. And that's too bad. Thanks for being with us.